Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's Money Talk Tuesday. Each week, I do a new training on a topic that you have voted on and requested. But give this a second. If you're checking out this live, let me know. Hashtag live, or if on the replay, hashtag replay. Like to see how that works for that. Hold on, I'm pulling this up here. Of course, there's so many things there. Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm running a little late tonight, but let's get started on this training. I'm really excited to kind of chat about this. So, if you're joining me today, you've probably been plagued with these unexpected expenses and, the stress and the frustration that can come with having that happen. The thing is that unfortunately, we can't really predict the future, right? So, we can't know when we're going to have a car repair, or we're going to end up in the hospital, or we're going to need all those types of things happening. We just can't know. And actually, the one constant about life is that there's always going to be something coming up that can potentially derail your wealth goals, right? So, what do we do? Well, tonight I'm going to break down exactly how you can prepare for the unexpected and turn these stressful events into like minor annoyances, right? So, but before we begin, my name's Erica Delicata. I'm a wealth coach and I'm founder of the Intentional Spending Method. I've been developing my proprietary method after working with so many moms just trying to figure out the best way to achieve wealth and achieve their wealth goals. And I'm on a mission. I want to help moms inject intentionality into their money systems so that they can achieve wealth for their families. And I know what's possible because I'm on this journey myself. So let's talk about these unexpected expenses. First, I'm gonna get that down. First, there are two types of kind of unexpected expenses, right? There's the, oh crap, I forgot this was happening, even though it happens the same time every year expenses. And then there's the WTF, why me expenses, right? Why does this happen to me? And so the great thing about my intentional spending method and what we're going to be talking about tonight is that, we can address both of these situations. And in both cases, there's three very intentional actions that I'm going to talk you through and how you can take to make sure these expenses don't derail you from your bigger wealth goals. So let's talk about the first thing. The first thing we need to do is make sure that our money system is working for us, right? So if you're copying someone away or you've learned how to do it and you're really doing what you think you should be doing, it probably may not be going very well. There's some people that, it's hard to do because our money systems are very unique to us, okay? And so to just do what you think needs to be done, and if it's not really working for you, then that's going to cause issues. So in phase one of my intentional spending method, we actually look at your money system. We figure out what parts work and what parts are causing those stress and that frustration. And actually, one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is when it comes to savings. And this is part of the reason that unexpected expenses are so stressful, right? And so I see this happen with the unexpected expenses on a regular basis. And so really understanding, what parts are going to work best for you. And so if you are trying to save at the end of the month, if you have money at the end of the month, this isn't going to work, right? So if your money system consists of, okay, let me pay bills, let me do all the other stuff, and then if I have at the end of the money, if I have at the end of the month, if I have some money, I'll throw it in savings. It's not going to work for you, okay? Because you will always prioritize spending over saving. And because think about it, it's so much easier to save or to spend than save for most of us. There are some of us that love to save. But for the majority of us, spending's fun and you should spend, but we're going to talk a little bit down in a few minutes about that. But in general, if you're trying to achieve something, you may need to save. That may be something you need to do. And so your money system needs to be set up for you to save first. Savings is really the key to managing your unexpected expenses, okay? So when you have a money system that is aligned with you and what you can actually follow through with, not with what you thought you had to do, but what you will actually follow through with, then you will get financially organized, okay? So you can start preparing yourself for anything that life might be thrown at you. So you'll be able to start having money in a savings account set aside for car repairs or medical bills because you will be able to be intentional because you'll be able to follow through. You know, the system, your money system is actually working for you instead of you trying to constantly feel like it's not working or something's that you're not doing something right, right? So that's the first thing. The next thing we can do is to really dive in and evaluate our beliefs around our money. So wealth is built not just by income, not just by sorry, keeps coming up here, not just by income or savings, and it's about the intentional choices that we make each day. Okay, think for a second. Okay, I want you to ask yourself if you really believe that there's a life that can happen, that you can have a life without stressing about unexpected expenses. Can this really change for you? If you said yes, I won't call you out of here, so you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But if you said yes, this is good because then you can make decisions about your money that will allow you to make that change, right? But if you said no, here's the problem. If you don't really believe that can change or that there is a way that things can be better, how are you going to commit to anything? Why are you going to create a saving system to prepare for unexpected things if you don't believe it's possible to actually do so? Without having this confidence and this belief that a change is possible, it will never be a priority for you. And even if you do manage to get a few bucks into savings, it will get spent on something that maybe you value more or maybe has a higher priority for you. Being able to make these intentional choices is really important when it comes to building wealth, because no matter what your goals are, if you can't make these choices, if you can't prioritize your goals, then if you're going to be struggling, right? You're going to struggle to believe that change is possible. How are you going to achieve those goals? That's why in phase 2 of my intentional spending method, we basically do a money mindset boot camp, right? So I evaluate what you believe to be true about money and figure out what's holding you back. And then we reconnect you. We reconnect you to your wealth goals, to your beliefs, and we give you that confidence to make decisions to bring those goals closer to being achieved, okay? So if you have questions, I want you to drop them in the comments. I know I might be talking fast. I'm about to go into number 3. This is number 3. So this leads into the third action you can take. You need to understand your wealth journey. I would literally say sit down and write it out, okay? Write it out from when you really became independent. I would say, for me, it was like at 18. But when you really became financially where you were taking care of yourself until now, okay? And really, you need to understand that wealth journey, right? Because wealth isn't just something you achieve and it's done. It's a journey where we're constantly achieving levels of wealth, and it changes throughout our life, right? So you need to know where you've been as much as you need to know where you want to go, right? So when you understand that this is a journey and you can see that these unexpected expenses along the path, they're just bumps in the road, right? They're small obstacles in the grand scheme of things, right? And so, for example, we just purchased a home and there are quite a few unexpected things that come up. We expect to an extent. We expected there would be unexpected. So we prepared our savings for that. But the point is that we understood that this is only a small part, and that after a year or two, after 2, maybe even 3 years, after we've put the time and the effort and what we want, we're going to actually have our dream home. And so we can see that these unexpected things, while they're annoying, they come up, they're dealing with it because we're going to achieve our other goals. We're going to get that dream home that we've wanted for so long, right? And so when you see that, when you can gain that perspective, this is going to help you when you're doing this. So even though they may seem big when they happen, we just had to replace a whole septic tank, which was not cheap. And so it can seem big when they happen, right? But keeping this perspective can help you make better decisions when handling these events so that you can get through them without losing your momentum, so that you can really see how this fits into the big picture. And when you can see your entire journey, then you can really know what matters to you, and align your current goals with and choices with that big picture. So for me, one of the things that is a common theme throughout my wealth journey, and when my husband, and I got together, we kind of have a joint journey of that, is we really seek security. And so we can see that those things are our goals are always somehow aligned in security, whether it's our dream home or whether it's that we're financially independent, which is our next goal, to where we can rely just on ourselves, and really understanding that that is really what matters most to us. And so we can align our goals and our choices in the here and now with what that bigger picture is. So with that idea, let's bring it back to what we were talking about. So how does this help you navigate those unexpected expenses? Because let me say, if you can prioritize saving for car repairs or hospital bills right now, rather than when they happen, right? That's what you want to do. You want to do it for right now rather than when they happen, because then you're not you're not feeling the setback. You're not feeling like, oh crap, I have $300 that I have to change my alternator on my car. I wasn't expecting that. And now my savings drop down, or I have to cut something from the spending plan, or whatever it is that it happens at that time. You can see that when this happens, that you can see how some of the spending that you might be doing right now isn't aligned with that big picture, and you can be motivated to change it. Think about it. So if your next level is that you want to purchase a home, which I will use because so many of you are out there working towards that goal, plus we just did, but over like the last 5 months, you're struggling to keep money in the bank, right? Unexpected things are coming up. Then there's a disconnect there. And the only way to get around that is to sit down and set that house goal, that big goal aside, and say, okay, what is really keeping me from saving money? What is really keeping me from achieving this goal? Am I spending money on things that really matter to me? Am I prioritizing savings each month? What are my priorities right now, for real? This is actually one of the number one reasons for my clients hire me, is because I show this mirror to them. I turn the mirror around. I show them what they're doing. I force them to really look at what they're doing in their life to achieve wealth, which isn't always pretty sometimes. Sometimes we don't want that. But the accountability and the clarity that comes from that, even though it might be hard, is why you see change, right? And really, I don't judge. Listen, I've been there. I'm frustrated that I couldn't save money. Back when, what was it? Back in 2014, was so frustrated we couldn't save money. I wanted to be able to I couldn't even get $1,000 in the bank, but I was easily dropping hundreds of dollars at Target because I wanted to get out of the house. Now, to be fair, some of that was on credit cards, right? But to the point is that my priorities were not in alignment, right? So if the house goal is really the priority for you, and it's okay if it's not, if maybe through this process you realize, hey, you know what, this isn't really what I want something else. That's totally okay. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we think we want something that we really don't want, and that's why we also struggle. So you can get clarity on either way. But if the house goal is really the priority, then we got to break that down into smaller goals, right, to reach that. And that might mean you have to make coffee at home instead of getting daily Starbucks fix, right? If that's what you have to do, then so be it. Now, wealth isn't about deprivation. It's about knowing what matters most to you, what do you want, and why it's important enough to prioritize it over everything else. Because look, I'm a huge coffee fan. I told you guys that a number of times. Huge coffee fan. But at the end of the day, our wealth goals of being financially independent, they're way more fulfilling than getting Starbucks 3 or 4 times a week. But that's me, right? So you have to decide for you. And be honest. When you're really looking at this, be honest with yourself, because if you try to sugarcoat it or avoid it, it's going to take a lot longer to achieve, right? And so this is what I do in phase 3 with my clients, is we really create your wealth focused action plan. We make sure that you are able to consistently achieve any level of wealth that you want faster and without the setbacks that come with these unexpected expenses, because they are part of life, right? But to be very clear and intentional with what you're doing with your money right now, that can help you prepare and navigate these expenses without the stress. And eventually they'll just be little annoyances, right? And the only reason that they might be is because you have to get on the phone. Like for me, I hate that. Have to get on the phone and talk about stuff, right? That's annoying. But I'm not stressed about it. It's just part of what I need to do to achieve my goals. Excuse me, still getting over being sick. But as usual, so that's number three, and I really hope that these were helpful for you. Like I said, if you have questions, I want you to drop them in the comments, or you can send me an email or DM me, whatever you need, and I'll be happy to kind of walk you through in a little more detail because I can't really do that in a 15-minute live, and go into real deep detail. So if you do have questions, let me know. Drop them in the comments. Happy to do it. But as usual, I want you just not to watch this, right? Don't just sit here and watch it. But I really want you to use what I'm talking about and really take action in your life. And too often, and especially in this day and age, we just take in content and trainings and never do anything with them. But to make a change, to see a change in our life, we got to take action. So I want you to do that. Take what we've talked about tonight and do something with it. Comment below. Let me know what you did. If you want accountability, happy to provide that for you. So before we review what we learned tonight, I want to also invite those of you that are interested in a free wealth assessment. If you're ready to stop draining your savings and get really intentional and start achieving those wealth goals, and maybe a little uncomfortable, and see have that accountability that can brought to you, because sometimes, yes, we kind of shy away from it, but it is the key. It will change your life. Honestly, the times that I've had to go through and do things that made me a little uncomfortable, probably the most life-changing things. And so, if you're ready to do this, don't be afraid. I don't bite. If you're ready, and be interested in learning more on how I help moms with my intentional spending method, go ahead and comment wealth below, and I'm going to reach out to you and get you on my calendar. Okay. On the assessment, we will review your wealth journey. We're going to celebrate some of the successes that I know all of you have had, and we're going to get clarity on what your current obstacles are on trying to achieve your next level of wealth. Okay. Then we can discuss where you're at in your journey specifically and how coaching can actually help you achieve your goals faster. So if you're interested, again, wealth down in the comments. Happy to, I will reach out to you and set something up for you. But before we go, let's review what we talked about tonight. We talked about 3 very intentional actions that you can start taking to navigate these unexpected expenses better, so that you can go from being really frustrated to confident in net management. Okay. So number 1 is you're going to evaluate your money system. You're going to see what doesn't work and what works and what doesn't work, and you're going to make changes on that. 2, you're going to check in with your money mindset, and you're going to see how your beliefs may be affecting your current decisions or priorities. And 3, you're going to see the big picture. I want you to see your entire wealth journey from start to where you are now and where you want to be. And like I said, visuals help with this. If you need help with that, let me know. I have a thing I can give you. But you want to see the big picture so you can make sure your decisions, the things that you're doing, are really aligned with your actual priorities, what's really important to you. Okay. So I hope I didn't talk too fast. I would love to hear what your biggest aha was. So drop them down below, or you can DM me directly if you like. And don't forget, we're going live on Tuesday for Money Talk Money Talk Tuesday. Next week, actually, we're going to be talking about, I've gotten a couple of requests for this, and so we're going to do it. We're going to talk about building wealth when you have your regular income and what that looks like. Okay. So take action this week and have a great evening. Talk to you guys soon.